always do the housekeeping, and I'm gonna do that, and then I'll edit it, post edit, and I'll send that out to you. As you all know, last week it did not record. We had a problem with the system, so I was unable to record in totality. But thanks be to God that Rashida, the Rebel Ink, was able to capture from her laptop. She didn't get the full class, but she did get the majority of it. So it's going to look a little different because it does have the picture that would be from the student side viewing it instead of recording from the instructor side. It'll look a little bit different. However, we did capture the information, and that's the main thing. And just a little bit that she missed on the beginning, I will be going back to re-record that, and then I'll splice all that together and put that out. So at this point, you should have, and I was made aware this morning that some did not get the videos. So if you're one of those that did not get the video, please reach out and let me know, because I want everybody to have that in your hands for further study. That being said, I'm going to leave that with you all, that we're going to do this on the honor system, if you will, because again, this material is proprietary. It is what I've put together. This whole entire course is my own course that I've created. So I'm going to ask, if I put this material in your hands, to please, on the honor system, do not allow this to get out of your hands and be distributed out into the public, because for those that come after you, there is a cost. So that being said, that's the one thing I wanted to cover there. Secondly, I want to address truck driver 57 probably will not be with us on today. He reached out to me on yesterday, and their family has crisis going on. So he more than likely will not be here this morning. However, I do want to ask everybody, please lift truck driver and his family up in your prayers, and that will be greatly appreciated. Lastly, for the issue of housekeeping, the book that we're using, one of the books that we're using, and for everybody that's asking about my book, it's not out yet. So I will give it to you before we finish the course, but it is not completed yet. So you will get it hot off the press, and your little hands will be the first hands to get it. However, everybody's coming back saying, I've got the books except for the one written by you. It's because you don't have it in your hands yet. It's not available as of yet. So I want to get all the finishing touches on it from my end, and then I'll give it to you. On the picture, the matter of ethics without scripture, creating a code of consciousness. That's one of the books, along with God and Jesus and the Disinherited. That book, I know it's out there. You shouldn't have a problem with it. This book, I gave you the link to it, but I also asked the instructor, or the author rather, I asked her if she had a link, an e-link out there, and she does. So there's an e-link out there. If you did not purchase the book online and get the hard copy, there's an e-link out there for $3.99 that has been made available. So I told her that we were using this book in our course, and if she had or could get an e-link to make it available, I would greatly appreciate it. So if you go in HC in the text channel, where we put all of the information, the class assignments and that type of thing, if you go out there and look, you will find the link, and all you have to do is just click on the link, and it will take you to the ebook that again is $3.99. $3.99 for Ethics Without Scripture, Creating a Code of Consciousness. Now I'm just that one. I'm going to do both of it. I have the ebook because a lot of times when I'm driving, I use the ebook so that I can just let my phone play the material, but I also personally keep a hard copy of books that I really want to keep and I really want to utilize. So that's up to you, either way you want to go. I think both of the books are priced well so that it's not going to break the bank. And that's why I didn't make a long list. You all see there's a huge list out there of optional reading because all of those different books actually are where I've derived some of the information, or just books that I think will be good for you to read and have under your belt. But the three books, the book that I'm writing, which again is not available for everybody that's asking that question. Also, Ethics Without Scripture by Mary McCoy, and Jesus and the Disinherited by Thurman. Those books are available to you, and please do get them. And those are what I'm calling required reading. Now, I want to say, as we get started on today, it's so good to have Cassie back with us. She had a little sick spell the other week. So glad to have you back. And new in class today. Yes, baby. It's so good to have you. I tell you what, new in class today is UC Busky E. That's Brother Tim. He's in here. He's some young blood. So I'm really excited to have him in the course with us on today. And for the others that haven't quite made it yet, they may come later on. But I do try my best to be very timely in our courses. So it's 10:01. I appreciate everybody that's here, and we're going to go ahead and get rolling. And everybody else that may come later, we'll welcome them into the fold when they get here. However, we're going to go ahead and start with the course at this time. Now, are there any questions about what I put out there just in the housekeeping matters, or anything else that somebody needs to ask or make a comment about before we get started with class? Let me give you an opportunity to do that. Okay. So we're going to get ready to get this ready for you and load this up. All right. Now, we have been covering all of the different elements. Our first was actually Dust to Dust. Dust to Dust was our first segment, and that is the Anchoring the Core segment. The Anchoring the Core segment. So now I want to move on, and I know we covered a lot of material, and that's another reason why I'm releasing these videos to you. And again, I'm going to release those to you in good faith that you're not going to let those get out of your possession, that you will hold these under wraps, so that those that come behind you, it will not be out there in the public. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be the point that we're going to actually start the course from here. So got the recording going, and let's go. I'm going to share this screen. Good morning, and I want to welcome you to today's session of the Boss Energy Path, and I am your spiritual thought leader. I'm so glad to have you here with me in this course on today. Now, we have finished up the Anchoring the Core segment, especially focusing in on Dust to Dust. We're ready, as we were talking before, we're ready to make the transition now into the next segment, which is the step of aligning for balance. Aligning for balance. Now, so when we start talking about alignment for balance, I want us to understand that I'm going to deal very heavily with this idea of interconnectedness and being interconnected. I want to take a statement that was made by Lena Horne, which really kind of speaks to the core of where we are here with balance. And she said this: it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. I'm going to say that again. It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way that you carry it. And I think Lena Horne was on to something, because really what she identified is where I want to go with this concept of balance. We all have loads that we carry, and at the end of the day, I know a lot of times we seem like, man, I'm carrying a heavier load than anyone else is. Nobody really knows the load that I'm carrying. And I know sometimes that can be the feeling that we have. I get it. But at the end of the day, I want to come back to what Lena said so aptly. Listen, it's really, it's about how you carry that load. It's about how you carry that load that makes the difference. So we all have a load. I'm reminded of a parable that I heard when I was young in ministry, and the story goes something like this. There was a man, and when he got to heaven, he had his cross on his back that he was carrying, and he drug it up to Jesus and said, why? Explain to me, why has my load, my cross to bear, been so heavy? I wish I could trade it in for another one. And so Jesus Jesus said, go right on in, go in the room of crosses and pick another cross and take your pick and have at it. So the man drags that cross into the room and looks at all the crosses that are in the room. And lo and behold, his cross dwarfed every other cross in the room. So, you know, the principle and the moral behind that story is that sometimes it may seem like we've got the biggest cross of anyone to bear, but actually, if you could go in the room of crosses, you just might identify that your cross actually dwarfs everybody else's. Regardless, whatever the size of your cross and whatever the load that you carry, I want you to understand the way that you carry it effectively is how you balance. Again, as Lena said, it's not the load that breaks you down, it's how you carry it. That being said, I want to go back again to this concept as we've been connecting all of the different elements. We've talked about elements. We've talked about frequency. We've talked about the states of matter. We've put all of this together, even with the 5 elements theory that we've covered up to this point in Dust to Dust. And at the end of the day, I want you to understand that balance really depends and hinges largely on how well you are interconnected. How well you are interconnected. So aligning for balance deals with balancing yourself within or inside and without or outside. That balancing includes the basics of understanding our interconnectedness with nature. I'm not just concerned about being balanced inside. I'm not just concerned about myself and how I'm balanced outside and meaning we'll get more into that. But I also need to be interconnected to nature. And there's a balance there of all things because it's all connected. If you get out of sync in any of those areas, I contend it's not going to allow you to walk in your boss energy, but it will have you in a state of what I'm going to call drunkenness. And when I say drunkenness, I'm just saying that imbalance, that uncertainty, that loss of equilibrium where you're able to walk, think, and function with a sober mind. So as we move into this, in this course, what I want you to learn is learn various balancing methods and the selection that you want to use, and then know which of your own balancing skills you use within yourself. Now, I put that picture of this young man up here. You don't need work-life balance when work is life. And I'm going to say just very simply, I feel like there are a lot of people that deal from this place of living where hey, I don't need life balance because when work is literally my life. And I want to really, really encourage you to understand if work is your total life, you, ma'am, and you, sir, are definitely imbalanced. So I want to go on and as we get into this, I'm always talking to you that I come as a spiritual disruptor. I come with that disruptive change to anything that's not anchored down, anything that you're not certain and sure of, anything that's not solid within. I want you to understand that I'm here to disrupt that so that hopefully that disruption will bring you to a place of change so that you can get where you want to be. So these are the questions I want you to ask yourself and be very, very transparent with yourself. Are you balanced within? Are you balanced within? And listen, sometimes we can feel because we've got successes here, we've got things going well there, that, hey, everything's good. But I tell you what, this is the telltale. If you get down the road and you start feeling shaky and stuff starts falling apart, it's probably because you've been imbalanced and potentially imbalanced for a long time. It's just that as you go and as you maneuver, sometimes we know how to juggle and we juggle really well. But then after we juggle and we need to juggle faster and faster and faster and faster, and we're out of balance, then comes the potential to start dropping balls. And once we start dropping balls, that's where things can really start to show. This is where I want you to really be honest with yourself and say, am I balanced within? And then I want you to also ask yourself the question, am I balanced without? And ask yourself, does your life show interconnectedness to the rest of creation? Because at the end of the day, I want you to understand you are connected to the rest of the world. You are literally connected and interconnected to the rest of the world. And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about here. Now, as we do that, I want to come back and I want to ask you this question to ask yourself. How many of you believe that it's impossible to achieve total balance in your life? Because listen, there are some folk that feel like it just can't be done. I don't care what I do. I don't care how I do it. I just cannot come into a place of total balance. But this is what we're going to talk about in the Boss Energy Path. It can be done. And as my little guy here says, find balance, you must. So again, we're coming from a place of saying, I want you to be balanced inwardly. I want you to be balanced outwardly. And I also want you to get interconnected. Now, by doing that, I want to say, I want us to get to an idea when we talk about the Boss Energy Path. And as we start talking about ideas and concepts of what it is to really come into a place of being in a state of higher consciousness. What am I really striving for? Spiritual thought leader, what are you really asking me to strive for? And one of my friends said it like this. He said, higher consciousness is that place where you can get to letting go. I want you to come into this place of letting go. And I also want you to come into this place of staying balanced, staying present, not checking out, but staying present. There are a lot of people that go through life on a daily and they check out, and then they check back in, and then they check out and they check back in. Higher consciousness says, I want you to be checked in all the time. Yes, there are times when you're going to pull away and rest. Yes, there are going to be times when you are getting recreation in just so you can relax. But even in that, I don't want you to check out from yourself. Hear me when I say that. I don't want you to check out from yourself. And I definitely want to deal with those that maybe, like those of you that, like me, have gone through some states of trauma where not only do you check out, you've learned how to disconnect completely and become a totally different. It's almost like I share with people about feeling like there are states and times when I'm disconnected to the level where it looks like I'm looking and watching with an out of body experience because I'm just literally that connected, functioning, talking, doing everything else, but what I call splitting. And I want you, if you're that splitter, I want you to get to the state of higher consciousness where you're not continuously using splitting as a means of being able to cope. Because I'm telling you, you can split for a certain amount of time, but after a while, splitting is going to catch up with you. So that's why I say, as we come into this state of higher consciousness, finding ways that I can stay and remain present becomes critical to achieving that higher consciousness. Finding the ability to stay affirming with yourself, to constantly be affirming yourself and what's going on in your life, what's going on inside of you, what's going on in your emotions, what's going on in your thoughts, what's going on in your feelings, making sure that at all times you have that level of higher consciousness where you're always affirming yourself. And then this is the last thing that he said that I really loved. He said, and things that as he shared with me, and I appreciate him, we were co-workers together, and he just came back as he found out that this was the journey that I was doing. And he said, this is something that I feel like this is you, Regina, this is you. And helping people to understand how to call the unseen as though it were seen, speaking those things that be not as though they are. That's what I'm talking about in this Boss Energy Path. But I I tell you that to really get into the fullness of that, and we've already unleashed that word ashe, that creative word from the Yoruba, that creative word from our ancestry, that creative word that begins to be an element of I create the fruit of your lips. I want you to get in that boss energy path where you can actually begin to move in that. So I'm going to read it, and I do have this out there in IFC, so you can go out and IFC text in the chat and see it again. But I thought this was so beautiful and so powerful that I wanted to share it. And my friend's name is Jeremy Kyle Houston. I want to give him props for this. But he said, thinking about and understanding higher consciousness as letting go. Live a life where you can let it go. So many of us are holding on and clenching to things that we just can't let. Listen, let it go. Staying present, staying in the here, staying in the now, affirming and calling the unseen as though it's seen. That's what we're talking about when we're moving in boss energy and dealing with the concept and the idea of moving into balance. Now let's deal with inward balance. Check your life from within. And introspection is a beautiful thing that a lot of times we do not have people that will really talk on and teach on. Let me go back. That will talk and teach on that concept. Come on now. Come on. It's wanting to run right on through because I got let me see if I can move this over here to the other side. Let me come out for just a second and take you guys back because I don't want to, I'm not trying to miss all of those. There we go. I was trying to actually get over here and move my picture so I can get off of it. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. So let's go back to inward balance. Check your life from within. Check your life from the inside. Check your frequency. And again, we've already talked on this. So we're building. We started with some foundational concepts. We started with some foundational thoughts. So now we're building and we're incorporating what we talked about in anchoring the core and dealing with dust to dust. Take and check what's my frequency. Now, we already talked about this and the idea, whatever you think about frequently is your frequency. How often do you think about? Identify where your frequency is. Your energy. And energy is that ability to do work. And I'll go back over it here just a little bit later on. I'll go back over some of those slides, but I don't want to spend a lot of time here because we've talked on this for the last 3 weeks. States of matter. We've got solid. There are times when you need to be solid. There are times when you need to be able to be liquid and fluid and flow. There are times when you need to be in a state of gas where you can transcend between the walls. You can transcend any kind of barrier and just go ahead and go on through that barrier and be present on the other side and be present wherever you need to be. And then, of course, that fourth state of matter that we talked about, plasma, the idea that plasma is both matter of matter. It's a combination rather of matter. It's a combination of solid or liquid and gas. Plasma has all of that combined in the one. So, and then also we talked about the Einstein Bose. And so any of those that you need to be in that state of matter. And again, if you need to go back and review those, please do. But we're talking about all of that to come into a place of inward balance, dealing with the 5 elements and that 5 elements theology and that 5 elements concept, being able to understand that the air, being able to understand that the earth, being able to understand that the water, being able to understand that all of these elements, the spirit, all of these things work together. And there has to be inward balance. There has to be that coming together where it's all in, and as was said, when we went over it the other week, it may be in different proportions because different scenarios at different times may require a different proportion. So I may be 100%, or I may be 90% air at one time and then 5% this, or those combinations of those proportions will be different at different times. And I really started with a bad number because 90 and 5 gives you 95 right there, which leaves very little for the other slices to get in in there, but you need all 5 elements operating in your life. But the balance is, I'm at 100. I'm not extra. I'm not over. I'm not 150. I need you to stay at that 100. Okay. So understanding when we come into that place where that balance of the 5 elements begin to work its way out, and I'm finding that place. And what was one of the assignments I think you all had last week was to actually look in an introspective way and identify what are your elements and how do they balance, and what are your elements at given times, and when do you find and how do you find that if I'm in a certain place and I need to pull fire back, if I need to pull passion back, do I have the ability to know how to use those other elements to counterbalance my fire so that fire doesn't just consume and burn everything up and I'm just standing there burnt crispity like a burnt up, piece of rotisserie. To actually find how I can bring all of those elements into a balance and then use counterbalancing with the other elements to keep myself at a place again where I can stay present, where I can remain present, where I can remain affirming, where I can continue to speak those things that be not as though they are. And when we look at that inward balance, then I'm going to look at my mental, I'm going to look at my physical, I'm going to look at my emotional, I'm going to look at my spiritual, I'm going to look at those places within to see the balance. And again, as I said, especially when it comes to mental and emotional, don't just do it as a matter of reactive, but I want you to start, as we build balance, make it proactive. I'm not going to see about my mental health because I'm forced to. I'm not going to see about my physical health because I'm forced to. I'm not going to see about my emotional and spiritual health because something is forcing me to do it. But I want you to do it in a proactive way so that you're constantly working to maintain homeostasis and a health life balance that is wholesome and healed and affirming at all times. Now, look at this that I chose for this particular slide. And I do try to sit and think about what I want to say and how I want to say it. So I try to submit to you things that I want you to think about. The divine is present, and that's why I want you to stay in the present. The divine is present, and it's present in everyone. It's not some people have it and some people don't. The divine is present in everyone, in all beings, in everything. And this is where I'm coming to, helping to get this idea of interconnectedness. I'm going to read that sentence again. The divine is present in everyone, in all beings, in everything. Like space, it is everywhere. And we talk about that as the container, as we talk about air, we talk about that as that container of spirit, rather, in the elements. It's everywhere, omnipresent, all pervading, all powerful, all knowing. The divine is the principle of life, the inner light of consciousness and pure bliss. It's our very own. And what got left off there was the word self. It's our very own self. God in you, the God in you. And this is where a lot of times when I'm talking about, when I start the teaching of talking about, I want you to move in your boss energy. This may be where I kind of change the trajectory away from a lot of the faith traditions of today and say, okay, I want you to embrace this idea that God is in you. There, even in scripture, God in you, the hope of glory, and within you, he gives you all things that pertain to life and godliness. It's in you. He's given you the ability. God has given you the ability to be successful and be everything that you need to be. Or wherever you want to go with that spirituality, it may not be from the same premise, but I'm telling you that spiritual connectedness to God, wherever you're coming from, I want you to understand that your divine self, created by the divine, it's in you. Stop looking outside of yourselves, and I want you to look and reach within, because it's in you, and that greatness is in you. So I want you to have that understanding. I'm going to read this one more time because I felt like this was a powerful, powerful statement. The divine is present in everyone. And that's why we don't hate anybody. That's why we aren't talking about anybody, tearing anybody down, because if you understand the divine rests, abides, and resides within these individuals that you're tearing down, there's no way you can do it if you come and understand the interconnectedness that you have one to one another. The divine is present in everyone, in all beings, in everything. Like space, it is everywhere, all pervading, all powerful, all knowing. The divine is the principle of life, the inner light of consciousness and pure bliss, and it's our very own self. So I want you to receive that. Now, this is where I want to go here. There's beauty in a balanced nature. And so as we come in the outward, check your life on the outside. What's your social? Some of you need to identify and come to terms. Have you even cut yourself off where you have no social? You have nothing going on outside. You have nothing going. And listen, I understand. I am, as somebody said, I'm an extroverted introvert. I am an introvert, but I'm an extroverted introvert. And a lot of my extrovert behavior is learned behavior. At my truest core, I am really an introvert. Even my talking in front of people, doing the things that you guys see me do, I promise you, I was the shyest, one of the shyest people you ever wanted to meet. I wouldn't talk in front of people. I would talk in small groups with people that I felt comfortable with, or whatever the case may be. I can remember the first time somebody asked me to lead a song, I just could have had a panic attack. And my grandmother said to me, just close your eyes and act like nobody's there. And to this day, I still close my eyes as a matter of this is a behavior that I've taken on because I am an introvert. So, and I do it now just out of, like I said, I've done it so long, I don't even think about it. But that's the way I started being able to do it in front of people. I had to close my eyes. So understanding that I am that introvert, and there's an introvert that really feels comfortable being in what I would say a non-social kind of situation. But at the same time, as crazy as it may seem, that's why I said I'm an extroverted introvert. I love people. I love the social element. Now, what will typically happen, and I've said this before, if I walk into a room with people, I'm going to more than likely gyrate toward the person that's over in the corner that nobody's talking to, because that's where I feel comfortable. But at the same time, I understand I have to have some level of social life in my world for me to be balanced. And some of us are living lives where we've literally, whether it's because of a trauma, whether it's because we just never found that place of feeling comfortable with ourselves and or with other people. And then you may just be an actual introvert that feels more comfortable being to yourself. But I still contend you need some social life in your world. Your financial, making sure, checking that. And I'm so glad that even within the group, we have those that have an understanding and delve into the financial element that I hope later on down the road will be able to bring them to the course to actually add to your financial balance and your financial welfare in talking through simple things. I'm not even talking about trying to get an investor in here to help you invest. I'm talking about just understanding the basics of financial balance. That's an outward balance. But baby, if it's imbalance, it will jack your world up. I want you to find that place of occupational balance so that yes, you do have a life work balance, that your work is not your life, that you're able to bring that balance, but yet and still that occupational balance, that you're happy in what you do. This is one thing that I will say. This is one thing that I have contended and tried to live by in my life. I refuse to be on a job that I go into every single day just upset and miserable and don't want to be there. Now, that being said, I'm not telling you to walk off your job. I'm telling you, either you're going to have to get a place of balance. You're going to have to get a place where you feel good. You're going to have to get a place where if you do need to transition and find another job, if that ceiling is too low, if that environment is too hostile, if it's too destructive, if it takes up too much of your time where there is no life balance in your work-life balance, If you find yourself in that position, I don't care how much money you're making, it will pull you out of balance. And the beauty that's in nature that you could be enjoying, tied up and consumed, completely taken with this. And I refuse to get up every single day going someplace that I hate to be there. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's in my home. I don't care if it's in the job situation. I don't care if it's in a spiritual scenario. I don't care what the scenario is, a relationship. If I am absolutely positively miserable, I need you to check that. I need you to check that. And as Yoda said, you need to find some balance. And then I also want you to have recreational balance, because this is an area that many of us miss because we do everything else, but we have absolutely positively no recreation. And this is why, as children, what's one of the first things we do? We send the kids outside to play. We let them play in the house. We let them do make-believe. We let their imaginations run. We let them pretend like they have an imaginary friend and all of this. It stimulates creativity. It releases stress. It gives you something that you don't have to sit down and really stress yourself about it, but it can actually become a stress reliever. And you can just let your hair down, so to speak, and enjoy life. This is one reason why I feel like, particularly for people of color, we work so hard and we do so much with no recreation whatsoever. We have forgotten how to play. We have forgotten how to have fun. We've forgotten how to just enjoy life and giggle and get tickled and just laugh till we just can't laugh anymore. Laugh till you cry. Laugh till your belly hurts. Because I'm telling you, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. There's something about when you can come into that recreational place. Get out on the boat and get in the water. Go play some tennis. Go out and move your body. Get that fire. We talked about that exercise. Get that fire, get that passion, get it pumped up, get it tanked. Baby, do something that allows you through recreation to extend the length of your life. Do you understand? To extend the length of your life, you need some recreational balance. So as we come into all of these different places, even just going out into the beauty of nature. Now that's going to bring me into this next idea. Children of God, we all, and I want us to understand this, children of God, we all, and let me go back, me and my mouse, we're having some problems, so I appreciate you all enduring me through my folly here, but let me go back and catch that. And let me get on this screen. I have several screens open, so I have to pay attention to which screen I'm on. Now, children of God, we are all children of God that coexist in a sacred world. We are all children of God, and we all are children of God that coexist in a sacred world. This is where I want to bring us into the interconnectedness that we have with nature. So there's a story, and I'm going to show you the slide. I put this out here last week, and we talked about it just in passing. But some of you have gone out and read since last class session. You've gone out and read this story, and I'm glad that you did. The story of Gabriella Reyes Fuchs and Stardust. The story is this. She actually had an experience where her father passed away. And at the end of the day, he was cremated. Now, as we look at what happened when she went out there and actually got a chance to see her father's ashes. These are her father's ashes. These are her father's ashes under a super powered microscope. Now, as she said, when her father passed, she had a sense of pain and anguish because she asked herself, and we're going to get to this, what did dead even mean when she got the call that her father was dead? So let me go back here and let me start here. We are all stardust. Now, I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks. This is a place that, as I said, science is now starting to catch up with what we've been saying all along. Science is now starting to prove what we've been saying and maybe didn't have any proof. But at this point, we say the proof is in the pudding. We are all stardust because we're made of the same elements. We're made of the very same things that the stars are made from. And so I say it like this, as I've been saying for many weeks, we are stardust wrapped in flesh. But that flesh, when you break it down, is still stardust. We are made of stars. Human ashes under a high-powered microscope. This is what you get in this picture that's before you. That is literally human ashes under a high-powered microscope. So this is what Sister said. She said, what does dead even mean? And that's where she started her disconnect, because I think she went where a lot of us tend to go with the finality, the ending, the disconnection of us from our loved ones. So she said to herself, what does dead even mean? So to her, as a photographer, that's what she does for a living. And so this is an area with the microscope and taking the picture, putting it under the microscope. This is a part of her world and a part of what she does. So she said there was something in her that compelled her to take the picture of her father's ashes and put it under not just a microscope, but a very high-powered microscope. We're talking about like at the level of the Hubble telescope. She put this thing under a high-powered microscope. And what did she see? When you look at that, you see energy. You see the power of the universe. I mean, it's almost like, as you said, you're looking at a multicolored nebula. And she said something about when she looked at and when she identified this was her father in his present state of ashes, and she realized the energy, the power, the multicolored nebula that he still was, and all of that energy and the interconnectedness. She said she could no longer be in that continued state of devastation because she realized my father is very much alive. You understand the words that are coming out? She understood my father is very much alive. It really deals with the matter of what? Perceptions. Perceptions. She said when she looked at that and she saw, and I promise you, if you've ever looked at a picture of the galaxy, if you've ever looked at a picture of stars, if you've ever looked at a picture of a nebula, that, beloved, is exactly what it looks like. So she began to realize, she said, it's all about perceptions. She said, a turquoise broadness lit the expanse. Now, these are her words, and I just wanted to use them. While a purple meteor shower illuminated a cluster of planets in the distance. She said, when she looked down at that, this is what leaped up into her vision, and this is what leapt up into her eyes. She said it was like floating in space, but at the same time, being that expansive space, not just floating in space, but being, seeing her father and understanding that he was being, as well as herself, all interconnected, being that same time, being that same expansive space. All the fear disappeared, and she felt no more separation from anything. And that's why I want to talk about the level of understanding. Yes, I need to be interconnected inwardly. I need to be connected. I need to be balanced. I'm sorry. That's the word I want to use. I want to be balanced inwardly, and yes, interconnected, because everything in my inward needs to be interconnected. I want to be balanced outwardly, and I need everything in my outward to be balanced as well. But I also need to be interconnected with the rest of the universe, because you are not disconnected. You are not separated from the rest of the universe. So when we start talking about, when you understand that kind of life-giving power, that kind of life-giving energy, then you can understand how it is we can speak those things that be not as though they are. When you start, and now that, beloved, is when we're starting to turn the corner and come into another existence of boss energy. Because when you understand that you are interconnected and God in you has connected you to all of the energy, to all of the power, to all of the existence, and that all of it comes together as one, where we are so quick to do and think everything in a divided and separated mentality. It's really all all one. And when you come into that oneness of mind and that interconnectedness that's there, it really begins to give you a different concept. Now, this is bringing us right up to the end of the conversation here. And so it comes to the point of disruption. We need to talk back to the text now, and let's begin to explore. And I think I'm doing pretty good because I'm almost right at 10:40 where I need to be. Let's talk back to the text. Let's talk back and explore new ideas. Do we understand the power of coming into this mindset of balance? And there goes my alarm. We hit it right on time. There comes the idea and the concept of interconnectedness with the rest of nature after. And I'm going to say this, I want you to be balanced and connected to yourself first. Before you try to do all this outside of yourselves, I want you to connect to your inner selves first. I want you to take that time to really be connected to who you are, understand who you are, balance who you are inwardly and outwardly, while also understanding the interconnectedness you have to the rest of the creation that God has placed us in. So as this comes to a close, I'm going to go to page 38 and 39, and I'm going to just read this, and this is going to be our assignment. Then we're going to open it up, you all. We're going to go ahead and open up for conversation together to reclaim the text and get the input back from you all in what I've shared on today. Now, this is page 38, and again, I'm here in the book Ethics Without Scripture. This is what I'm using and utilizing today. Page 38, page 39, and this is also going to be your assignment for this week. And I hope you all are journaling. I hope you all are keeping track of this in your journals and tracking your journal and writing it down, writing the vision, making it plain so you can go back and see it, and then hopefully in times in the future down the road, you can come back and see just how your journey progressed. Now, this is what I'm going to read, and this is what I want to share with you, and this is your assignment, a vision quest. So one of the easiest methods of seeking knowledge is also one of the oldest of nature. And again, I'm talking about coming to a place of balance. One of my many favorite avenues of seeking wisdom is to sit quietly amidst nature. If we simply observe the lives of the birds and the squirrels in our own neighborhoods and open ourselves to the wisdom of the trees, the awareness can bring us a peace and an understanding as well as hope for our own futures. You may have read or heard about the vision quest of Native Americans, in which a person, usually young people at the cusp of adulthood, will go out into the wilderness for a period of 1 to 3 days and will sit and learn from the wild. This practice is much like meditation in that it lets the wisdom come in, but there is one major difference. Whereas the practice of meditation usually involves a deliberate emptying out of the mind, in the vision quest, the mind is instead attuned to the natural world, more like a filling up meditation rather than an emptying meditation, wherein the participant will receive lessons from the natural world or receive possible answers to questions that they might have. Now, it goes on. I'm not going to go into all of that, but I think I've read enough to share. And I'm not asking you to go out for 1 to 3 days. Now, if you want to go out for 1 to 3 days, I'm not mad at you, but I do want you to take a time, set it aside. I want you to purposely go out into nature of your choosing. I'm not going to tell you where to go. Some of y'all are going to be like, spiritual thought leader, I do not like nature. I just hate it. I'm going to ask you in this instance, because God created it so powerful. It's so awesome. There's so much beauty there. And even as she said, this is what she would do as she would seek knowledge and wisdom and to settle herself and go out and experience. Again, it's called a vision quest. I'm going to ask you to participate in your own vision quest, your own place, your own time. You set the limit on it, but I'm going to ask that you go out and try to connect with nature. For somebody, it might be going out on the fishing bank, and maybe you already do this. Go out on the fishing bank, drop a line in the water, sit there, and then just pay attention. But the goal here is to connect and fill up your senses. Fill up your senses. Fill your ears. Fill your eyes. Feel your smell. Yes, pay attention to the smell. Feel the touch. Feel and be in connection with all of that and allow that to speak and teach something to you. Because again, we're looking at ways of how we can find methods to come into a place of balance. And I want you to start with that place right there, if you would. If you don't get anything out of it, come back and say, STL, that did nothing for me. Then we know that's not your method. We know that's not your method. And you tried it. And a lot of times my thing is just open yourself up, experience it. If that's not your tool, so be it. But at least try it. And even for those that say, I already know it's not, I'm going to ask you, as we've come in and had teaching and had some expanded consciousness, I'm going to ask you to go back and try it again. At least one time, go back and try it again and not come from a closed space and a closed place. But I'm going to ask you one more time if you would go and please, 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 let's just try one more time and give yourself the opportunity to see and experience the vision quest experience of meditation, where you fill up your senses with nature instead of the emptying out of meditation. With that, I'm going to call it a day. I'm right here, right at the exact place that I want to be. Hooray, hooray. Now we're going to do a little bit of reclaiming the text. And this is where I want you, if you would, to really, really open and share with me your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas. Let's have some conversation about what you gained, what you took away from the teaching and the text on today. Or if you have some resistance to it, I want to hear that too. If you're like, STL, this segment right here, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not going where you're going with it. I want to hear that too. And I'd like to explore what you're feeling and how you interacted with it. And with that, I'm going to shut up. I see those of you over here. I see you, Sassy Cassie, Busky. I see Royal Confessions, Tall Pumps, Rebel, Shelly Thunder, Two Tams, BTD Mom, and SK8843. Any of you take yourselves off mute and just go right ahead. And I'm going to be quiet and we'll give moments. This is reclaiming the text. Go ahead and share and talk.
Well, I'll start. It's my first week, and I have to say, like, if you can see my notes, like, I have like 10 pages full. But for me, what stuck out is I'm asking myself, like, am I balanced? Because I find myself personally, like, in different areas of my life, trying to do different things and be there for different people, but I have to take the step back and ask myself, am I balanced? Um, One thing that I am working through at the beginning, I think it was maybe the first lesson, or spiritual thought leader asked us to challenge ourselves, and the old tradition of, do you confess with your mouth and believe that the Lord thy God has, does that qualify you as being saved? Or to the contrary, was I born in this world with Jesus, or with Christ, the love of God, will say, God within me? And that was key for me, because I have to come to that to be balanced within myself. So I want to thank you, STO, because that was a different, I guess, perspective that I had never considered before. So I'm in a place of finding the balance, and hopefully, as I balance, then I can, with confidence, say that yes, it is possible to have total balance in my life, but I've got to start with myself and my
Awesome.
inner man.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Busky. Awesome.
Okay, this is Sassy Cassie, and I'm glad to be back. And this is a good place for me because to learn about being balanced, because I really believe that inwardly and outwardly I have become very imbalanced, and I'm grateful to be here to get the tools to get myself balanced. And I like the idea of learning from nature. I have been afforded the opportunity to come back where I was reared, and as a child, you don't have fear leading you in any type of fashion. You're just experiencing life and wanting more and more of it. And so I'm back where I grew up, and I'm in a country rural area. And so I'm going to enjoy. It's a tree that I used to go under quite often as a child, and I can go and probably glean some of the things I used to, and enjoy some of the freedoms that I did before. And also at an age now that I'm entering what they say my second childhood, because I'm in I'm in my 60s, but uh, I I'm very happy to know that I have the power to regain whatever balance I need inwardly and outwardly.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Enjoy that tree, sis. Enjoy that tree.
Yeah. Thank you.
I can connect with what she just talked about the balance thing, and this made me realize very much that I am out of balance, and in that I had a call from my physician a couple days ago, and she said, "You have got to lose that belly fat." She said, "And your lab is horrible, and you've got to lose it." And I immediately thought of being imbalanced. I immediately thought about the elements, and I thought that was out of shape. And then it took me to where I spend most of my time, what's on my mind, what am I thinking about. And of course, that took me to sadness because I'm concentrating more of the loss of my daughter, and it's just has me messed up. And this balance is just very good. I thank you for the teaching. And then something else that jumped out at me is the divine is present in everyone.
Yes.
Oh man, that shook me because I don't like so and so because of blah blah blah. But then when I look at it about, well, God is in them too.
Yes.
And I'm like, ooh, that's an ouch hallelujah for me. So I got to work on that, and the social part, the work part, the financial, the different kinds of things that can have you out of balance is something to really think about. And then there was so much about this, the cremation and what the lady saw when she looked. Oh my goodness. Yes. So I am just grateful for the whole thing, and I'm excited. I love nature. I love outside. I grew up in the country outside, and I love everything about it. So I'm excited to do that task you've given us. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to go, but wherever I go, I know there's water involved.
You and me both, sis. You and me both.
I love it. Yes, yes. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Tam's touched on something,
yes.
And I don't want to take over, but it kind of brought me back, like for tennis for me, like I always think like if it's windy, I got to put more spin on the ball. Like I've got to adjust. Like if I see it, I can correlate that so much with what Tam said, because mentally I have to reevaluate where are my thoughts. Like I can always seemingly find balance in tennis.
Yes.
But I need to take that to my mental and say, okay, well, what are you focusing all your time on, right? Are you sad because that's where you're dedicating all your time? So two Tams, I totally understand it. I get it. And this is like a wake up that, hey, you can do it in the natural. It's there. You know what to do. You've got to just apply it to your mental, apply it to your spiritual, apply it so I can be totally balanced. I take that concept in all facets of my life.
Yes, love it. Thank you. That's rich.
Yes, thank you. That's very rich.
Another aspect I'm glad to embrace is the letting go. I think a lot of times I hold on too long, or when I know it's time to exit, I choose to linger. And so I'm going to enjoy learning to let things go and having the gift of bye.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Love that. That is a gift.
Yeah.
Gift it to yourself. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? SK, my thing is showing color around you. Are you saying something, or was it just picked you up?
Apparently, it just picked me up. I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. I didn't want to miss anybody. All right. Well, I hope that you all have really had something that you can take away from today. I don't want to miss anybody. Is there anybody else that has something that you'd like to say? I just don't. I always want to make sure, if I can, to give you the opportunity. And
I just want to say that I acknowledge that I am imbalanced, and I thank God that He's showing me how to get myself together.
awesome.
So, and I want to. I can't really. Okay, I love being with people. I love helping people, but I'm really not helping if I ain't helping myself.
Yes,
that's the reality that I needed to come to. So that was what I wanted to say.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Sometimes just speaking it out and hearing yourself say it, the audible gives life to it, to give the ability to then begin to change that. Because I think sometimes we hold stuff inside ourselves, and thank you for the transparency and the vulnerability. I'm going to acknowledge both of those to share in this space. And so thank you for that. But I feel like even by speaking it, it also releases you to then make it happen for the transition and the change. So thank you for that. Anyone else? I want to come back to, and I'm gonna get ready to let you go, but I'd have the affirmations that we do as we get up and get out, and so I'm gonna actually let you redeem some time on today, because we're not gonna go to the 10:15, but I will ask, even take whatever time you can and go ahead and go out into nature and do this vision quest, if you would please, and just allow yourself to feel. And I would say, for me, even above meditation, this is really where I get my connection to God, and it really ministers to me, because with the natural connection that I experience, that is my anchor, and that is my strongest go-to as far as my balancing. And when I feel imbalanced, you rest assured I'm going to get myself up and I'm going to find somewhere, someplace to go, and that experience of going into nature and allowing it to just fill me up. It fills me up. It literally fills me up. And especially when I feel empty, it fills me up. I'm trying to tell you, it really, really does. So, for those that it may not be the most comfortable, or you haven't tried it, or you haven't done it in a long time, I'm going to say, like Kellogg's cornflakes, taste it again for the first time. Just get outside of yourself, go someplace and experience the nature and let it speak to you. I'm going to share this as we get ready to go. The affirmations are very, very, very important to me. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to say and read what my friend Jeremy said again, because I'm telling you, he just blessed me. And I appreciate this brother so much. If we are talking about going to higher consciousness, it involves us coming to the place where we can get in the process of letting go, staying present, affirming, and calling the unseen as though it were seen. That's where we are. And with that, we make these affirmations. And we, even in this hour, in this space, and in this place, hover over me, God. Hover over me. Just hover over me, God. Hover.
Yeah.
Please permeate and saturate where you already abide. Please saturate and permeate. You already abide here, but any place where I'm still holding on to areas of doubt, areas of low self-esteem, areas of feeling incapable, not worthy, whatever it is where you already abide, please permeate that, saturate it, and come even the more in me. Help me to speak and understand I am a spiritual divine soul. I am a spiritual divine soul. I will not shrink myself for souls who do not understand me. I will not shrink myself for souls who do not understand me. When I look in the mirror, I see power. I am divine. I am powerful. I am light. I am a sacred text. Engage me for love's service. Ashe. And with that, I release you all this morning. I appreciate you so much for coming into the class this morning. We'll be covering and continuing on in interconnectedness because this is the place where we're moving into balance, bringing ourselves into a place of balance. We'll talk about it a little bit more. We'll deal with it. Again, thank each of you for taking your time, energy, and effort to meet me here in this class on this morning. This is the Institute for Higher Consciousness. We're going somewhere, y'all. We're going somewhere. And this Pride Alliance, I'm telling you, we're relentless and you're going to hear us roar. Love you so much. You guys have a great day. We're out. Peace for your journey.
Thank you.